Greenland. Yet nothing about it is green. This is a world of ice and silence. The largest island on Earth, ruled by polar bears and endless cold. Rising from the ocean is a land 3 times the size of France, with no roads between its towns, where dog sleds and helicopters replace highways. Greenland feels less like a place on Earth and more like a hidden planet, untouched, unforgiving, and completely under nature's command. Nuuk, the unconventional capital. Our story opens in Nuuk, an unconventional capital perched at the edge of the world. Here, there are fewer cars than a single shopping mall parking lot, and the sea wraps around the city on 3 sides like a quiet spell of protection. While mountains rise as ancient sentinels against the Arctic wind, only 20,000 people live here, yet they form nearly a third of Greenland's population. They are the Qilakitsoq, whose ancestors crossed frozen seas from Alaska and Siberia thousands of years ago. Guided by survival knowledge etched into memory and myth, Nuuk's houses speak in color, each shade once carrying a purpose deeper than beauty. Red marked places of trade and prayer. Yellow sheltered the sick. Green carried voices across vast distances. Blue honored the ocean's gifts. And black upheld law and order in endless winters when snow erased the horizon. These colors became lifelines, helping people find their way when earth and sky blurred into one. Walking through Nuuk feels like stepping outside time. No highways lead here, no traffic snarls disturb the air, and the entire island is ruled by just 3 traffic lights, rarer than ancient relics. Airplanes and boats are the city's arteries, binding this isolated capital to the rest of the world. Yet the most haunting chapter waits inside the Greenland National Museum, where nature itself has preserved memory. The Qilakitsoq mummies rest in silence. 15 Inuit laid to rest 5 centuries ago in a rocky crevice, transformed by the Arctic cold into eternal witnesses. Their tattooed skin, finely stitched sealskin clothing, and the small body of a 6-month-old baby wrapped in fox fur reveal a world where survival was sacred. They are living whispers of a time when enduring each day was a triumph against the impossible. The Greenland Ice Sheet. Beyond Nuuk's painted houses lies a realm that defies scale and reason, the Greenland Ice Sheet, the frozen heart of the Northern Hemisphere. This is living force that helps set the rhythm of Earth's climate. Before you stretches an endless white desert spanning nearly 656,000 square miles, an alien world split by deep turquoise crevasses that cut through ancient ice like glowing veins, revealing depths lit with otherworldly blue. Above it all, relentless polar winds sculpt the snow into frozen waves, carrying a sound of solitude unchanged for thousands of years. Here, creation and destruction move as one, with thunderous cracks heard for miles. Colossal slabs of ice break free, drifting into the sea as floating castles. As these giants melt, they release mineral-rich nutrients that awaken plankton, which feed fish, which sustain whales, weaving a chain of life that begins in this frozen heart and flows through the world's oceans. Yet this fortress carries a warning. As the planet warms, the ice responds like a restless giant, its accelerated melting raising sea levels and threatening distant coasts. To stand upon the Greenland Ice Sheet is to witness both majesty and fragility. Beneath your feet lies compressed time itself. Layers formed hundreds of thousands of years ago, each air bubble a tiny archive of ancient atmospheres, preserving the breath of a world long before human memory. Kangerlussuaq, the gateway to the ice. Our journey continues to Kangerlussuaq, the gateway to Greenland's icy kingdom, where roads reach their end and true adventure begins. Deep in the island's vast interior, this settlement feels like the final outpost before the edge of the world. Born as a Cold War fortress, it has become Greenland's primary portal, where most travelers first breathe Arctic air. Kangerlussuaq offers no easy charm. It stands as a stark meeting point between human ambition and nature's limits. Around 500 people live here, quietly sustaining the island's largest airport, guarding this essential link between civilization and wilderness like keepers of an ancient gate. Its quiet magic lies in something rare, one of the few roads on Earth that leads directly to the Greenland Ice Sheet. The road cuts across the tundra to point 660, where asphalt simply ends. There is no ceremony, only a sudden shift from solid ground to ice older than memory. The journey feels like a fairy tale shaped by stone and time. Musk oxen drift across the tundra like primordial spirits, their massive forms mistaken for boulders until they move. Reindeer appear and vanish like mirages, perfectly tuned to a land where survival demands precision. Arctic foxes slip through this world as shape-shifting beings, their coats changing from summer browns and grays to winter white, blending seamlessly into snow. These animals are not visitors here. They are part of the land itself. If you're enjoying this journey into Greenland's frozen heart, a quick like helps share this story with others who seek the world's hidden wonders. Russell Glacier. A short journey from Kangerlussuaq leads to Russell Glacier, where the idea of geological time becomes suddenly, unnervingly real. A towering wall of ice nearly 200 feet high rises from the land, its surface fractured and streaked with shifting blues and grays that seem to move as you watch. Russell Glacier feels alive. The ice is never still, forever breathing and sliding forward. Without warning, house-sized blocks tear free and crash into the meltwater below, sending ripples outward like the pulse of an ancient heart. The sound cuts across the tundra, a sharp crack followed by a deep roar that echoes from distant mountains. Standing here is like overhearing a dialogue between forces beyond human measure. The glacier groans and whispers of pressure and time, of snow that fell when mammoths still walked the earth, compressed layer by layer into this crystalline monument. Each fracture and collapse releases energy stored for thousands of years in a moment of raw spectacle. The glacier's colors deepen the spell. Sunlit surfaces gleam white, but within, intense blues glow as if lit from inside. These hues are forged by immense pressure, air slowly squeezed out until the ice bends light itself. To gaze into this blue is to look into time made visible, a record of how the planet remembers. Around this frozen giant, life endures. Reindeer move slowly across the sparse ground, grazing with careful precision, every step measured. In this severe landscape, they embody an ancient wisdom, knowing that survival here is not about speed, but about patience and endurance. If you're still with us exploring this frozen land, type number 1, and we truly appreciate your support on this journey. Sisimiut, where tradition meets progress. Traveling north along Greenland's western coast, we arrive in Sisimiut, the island's second-largest city, where tradition and progress move in quiet harmony. Unlike many Arctic settlements caught between eras, Sisimiut has learned to grow without forgetting, creating a place that feels both timeless and alive. Modern apartments rise beside wooden houses, not in conflict, but as pages of the same unfolding story. Nowhere is this clearer than in the harbor, where sleek fishing boats rest alongside traditional kayaks, and snowmobiles stand next to dog sleds, each chosen for the season and the land. Not for sentiment, the sea shapes Sisimiut's spirit. Fishing here is more than work. It binds the community to the rhythms of weather and water. From the cold surrounding seas come shrimp and fish, sustaining both daily life and the economy that allows this town to endure in one of the planet's harshest regions. Sisimiut is also rare for its roads, which reach not toward other cities, but outward into the wilderness. They extend the town's presence into the land itself, offering access to exploration and deep connection with the Arctic landscape. Above all, Sisimiut's people embody adaptation without loss. They embrace modern technology and global ties while preserving the skills that once ensured survival. Children learn to navigate by GPS and smartphone, yet also to read the sky and respect the sea, knowing that in the Arctic, the future only thrives when guided by the past. Ilulissat, living among giants. Farther north, where the Arctic Circle traces an unseen line across the land, lies Ilulissat, a town forever conversing with giants. Icebergs drift past its shores day and night, some rising higher than buildings, others smoothed by water and time into pale, drifting sculptures that rival any human art. Ilulissat follows its own rules, with no roads linking it to other towns. Movement comes by boat, by air, or not at all. This isolation defines life here. People move by the rhythms of light and weather, knowing that in the Arctic, nature sets the pace and humans listen. In summer, when the sun refuses to set, time dissolves. At 2 in the morning, children play football in golden light while adults paint houses or paddle kayaks among floating ice. The midnight sun turns the ordinary into the magical, stretching each day into a seamless flow of work, play, and life. Winter brings the opposite spell. From November until February, the sun disappears and the polar night slows the world. Indoors, candles glow and stories are shared, while outside the aurora borealis spills unreal colors across the dark sky, offering beauty in the long absence of light. If you're captivated by endless light and drifting ice giants, tell us in the comments. Would you explore the midnight sun or the polar night? The icebergs that shape Ilulissat are born from Qaqortoq, or Jakobshavn Glacier, one of the fastest moving glaciers on Earth, advancing toward the sea at around 130 feet a day. It sends vast ice into the ocean, producing a significant share of Greenland's icebergs. When these giants break free, the force can ripple through the planet, registering on seismographs hundreds of kilometers away. To grasp the full scale of this frozen drama, one must enter Disko Bay, where icebergs gather like ancient spirits and the boundary between ice and life gently dissolves. Disko Bay, where whales meet ice. Disko Bay opens like a vast amphitheater of ice and water, a place where nature performs at its grandest. This immense bay becomes both stage and resting ground for the icebergs born from Qaqortoq in its shallow waters. The frozen giants are held fast, forming a shifting maze that reshapes itself with every tide, wind, and hidden current. The icebergs take on impossible forms. Some rise like fortress walls, carved into battlements by wind and sea. Others twist into sharp spires or arch into domes and bridges, resembling the ruins of a forgotten civilization built entirely of ice. Their colors change with the light, blazing white beneath the midnight sun, then deepening into blues so vivid they seem to glow from within. With summer, Disko Bay awakens. Humpback whales arrive from southern waters. Drawn by krill and fish thriving in these nutrient-rich currents, they breach and play among the icebergs. Living movement set against ancient stillness, a meeting of the fleeting and the eternal. Tukaya here is to enter a realm of scale and silence, drifting only feet from iceberg walls as tall as skyscrapers. You hear the ice breathing, popping and crackling as ancient air bubbles escape during the slow melt. These sounds are whispers of prehistoric atmospheres, air-trapped when Vikings reached Greenland, when the Little Ice Age gripped the north, when Earth followed rhythms only now being understood. For Inuit communities who have lived here for thousands of years, Disko Bay is more than beauty. It is a vital fishing ground where ancestral knowledge meets modern life, and where the bond between people and ice remains immediate, practical, and essential to survival. Uummannaq, the heart-shaped mountain, rising from the deep blue waters of a fjord like a vision from Norse legend. Uummannaq Mountain stands as one of Greenland's most iconic sights. Its twin peaks form a near-perfect heart, so precise it feels as though nature carved a love letter into stone and ice. Appropriately, Uummannaq means heart-shaped in Greenlandic. Beneath this symbol, a village of brightly painted wooden houses clings to the rugged shore, each one set against the vastness as if carefully placed to balance human warmth with natural grandeur. Life here follows rhythms older than memory. In the short summer, small boats weave through icy waters, tracing fishing and hunting routes passed down through countless generations. When winter seals the fjord in ice, sled dogs take over, their eager voices filling the air. These Greenland dogs are not just workers but partners in survival, shaped over thousands of years to endure the extreme. Each knows its role, and the bond with their mushers, built on trust and shared danger, can mean the difference between life and death. Above it all, the sky completes the enchantment. Under the midnight sun, the mountain and nearby icebergs glow in endless gold, time seemingly suspended. In the polar night, the aurora sweeps across the sky in green and violet, turning the heart-shaped peak into a beacon of Arctic magic. Children in Uummannaq grow up believing Santa Claus lives among them, hidden in a small grass hut called Santa's Castle. Each year, thousands of letters addressed simply to Santa Claus, Greenland, arrive here, binding this remote village to the world through a shared belief in wonder. Qaqortoq, where art meets stone. In southern Greenland, where the climate softens just enough for a different rhythm of life, lies Qaqortoq, a town unlike any other, a living sculpture garden carved directly into ancient bedrock. This is not art placed upon nature, but art rising from it, as if the stones themselves have found a voice. The transformation began in the early 1990s with the Stone and Man project. Led by local artist Akka, artists from across the Nordic world were invited to carve directly into the town's granite boulders and rock faces. More than 18 artists answered the call, creating around 40 sculptures so seamlessly woven into daily life that discovering them feels like a quiet treasure hunt through Qaqortoq streets. As you walk, an Inuit face may emerge from stone near the harbor, or whales may glide across a rock wall beside the post office, their forms seeming timeless. Arctic symbols are etched into the ground where children play, turning the town itself into a place where art and life constantly meet. Granite here is harsher than steel, demanding patience and precision. Every chisel strike is permanent, forcing artists to find gentleness within one of Earth's most enduring materials. These works stand exposed to salt wind, snow, sun, and storm, aging naturally as they weather the same forces that shape the surrounding fjords. In Qaqortoq, this open-air museum reveals a deeper truth of Greenlandic culture, creativity, and nature are not rivals but partners. Art does not conquer the landscape or retreat from it. It emerges from the earth, bound to the land and time that define life in the Arctic. Southern Greenland, traces of the Vikings. In the softer valleys of southern Greenland, where summer briefly paints the land green enough to justify its name, lie the remains of one of history's great riddles. More than 1,000 years ago, Norse Vikings sailed from Iceland and attempted the unthinkable to build a permanent European society in the Arctic. They were not passing explorers. They settled, farmed the land, raised livestock, and built stone homes and churches, forging trade routes and sustaining a thriving community for centuries. Convinced they could endure Greenland's extremes, the ruins scattered across the south speak of remarkable skill and adaptation. At Valsey, the best-preserved Norse site, thick granite walls still stand after 600 years of Arctic weather. Framing blue fjords beyond, massive stones were fitted with little mortar, their craftsmanship so precise that the buildings outlived the people who raised them. Yet this story fades into silence. The final written record is a wedding at Valsey Church on September 14th, 1408. After that, history goes dark. By the mid-15th century, the settlements were abandoned, their inhabitants gone as if erased. The reasons remain uncertain. A cooling climate during the Little Ice Age, collapsing trade with Europe, depleted resources, or conflict with Inuit communities may all have played a role, or perhaps a cause now lost to time. Walking among these ruins feels like stepping into a fairy tale that ended too soon. Stone foundations whisper of hope and resolve, of families who believed they could carve a future from this harsh land. The silence that lingers carries unanswered questions. A story cut short and remembered only by stone. While the Viking chapter ends in mystery, Greenland's story does not. Far to the east, where isolation reaches its most extreme, other communities continue ancient ways of life, and our journey turns toward those remote shores where survival itself remains a living tradition. Ittoqqortoormiit, the most remote place on the map. At the outer edge of human reach, where maps seem to end, lies Ittoqqortoormiit, a settlement so remote that arriving feels like stepping onto another world. Set on Greenland's eastern coast, this small community of roughly 350 to 450 people lives in near total isolation. Surrounded by gray tundra and towering ice that stretches endlessly beyond sight. For most of the year, thick sea ice seals the coast, cutting off all ships and turning the town into an island within an island. Access comes only by helicopter from Ilulissat Airport, or during a short summer thaw when boats can cautiously navigate the dangerous waters. This isolation is not accidental, but fundamental, shaping a life where survival means accepting nature's complete authority. Here, hunting is not tradition performed for show, but necessity stripped to its core. Inuit hunters continue practices thousands of years old, pursuing seals, narwhals, and under strict quotas. Polar bears, providing food and materials unavailable by any other means. Each hunt is guided by deep respect, knowing nature alone decides the outcome. The dominant sound in Ittoqqortoormiit is not machinery, but the sharp chorus of sled dogs. These animals remain essential when ice locks the fjords, their instincts and endurance often surpassing modern machines. The bond between musher and dog is practical and absolute, forged through shared dependence at the world's edge. Bright houses painted red, orange, and blue rise from the snow like signals of warmth. Their colors guide travelers through blizzards and steady the mind during the long polar night, when darkness can feel endless. Nearby spreads Scoresby Sund, the largest and deepest fjord system on Earth, extending more than 215 miles inland. This vast labyrinth of ice and water carries colossal icebergs from the interior, while forming channels so intricate they can confound even seasoned navigators. A final reminder that here, nature remains vast, complex, and firmly in control. The people. Greenland's greatest wealth is not its ice or land, but its people. The Qilakitsoq live by a truth the modern world often forgets. Survival comes from living in balance with forces far greater than ourselves. Respect here flows differently. Women hold leadership roles not by ideology, but by necessity. In a land this harsh, cooperation matters more than hierarchy, and no one survives alone. That respect is visible in traditions like reverse Christmas, when men serve and women rest, honoring the unseen labor that holds families together through long winters. Community replaces isolation. Extended families once lived together, and when loss left someone alone, others helped them rebuild their lives. Qaqortoq gatherings, brief visits over coffee and cake, quietly strengthen these bonds. Much is said without words. A raised eyebrow, a subtle gesture, or shared silence beneath falling snow all carry meaning. In Greenland, trust is measured not by speech, but by presence. The hunt and the food. In Greenland, food is survival, culture, and memory combined. Hunting is not extraction, but a relationship built on respect between humans, animals, and land. Strict quotas, guided by generations of knowledge, ensure life continues long after the hunt ends. Nothing is wasted. Meat nourishes. Blubber provides vital energy. Skins become clothing, and bones turn into tools and art. For those who don't hunt, fishing through thick ice becomes a lesson in patience and endurance. At celebrations, the most valued gifts are not money, but seal meat, warm furs, or handmade tools, proof of skill and generosity. When visitors are offered whaleskin or dried fish, it is not performance, but practical wisdom. Every calorie matters, and every meal carries centuries of survival knowledge. The Arctic Price Paradox. One of Greenland's greatest shocks isn't the cold, but the cost of living. Distance shapes every price. A simple meal in Nuuk can cost $50, and groceries reveal the true weight of isolation. Fresh produce is a luxury. Milk, eggs, and bread cost several times more than elsewhere, while local fish can be cheaper than imported meat. In winter, when ships can't reach many towns, supplies are flown in, pushing prices even higher. For travelers, the lesson is clear. The landscapes are free, but warmth and food are not. In the Arctic, even the basics reflect the real price of living at the edge of the world. The strange laws of survival. Greenland follows laws shaped by one purpose alone: survival. Land cannot be owned, only shared, because cooperation is essential where nature remains untamed. Alcohol sales are restricted to protect small, isolated communities. Wildlife laws are strict. Polar bears may only be killed in self-defense, and hunting quotas exist because animals recover slowly in the Arctic's short summers. Even litter matters. Waste barely decomposes, and a single peel can scar the tundra for months. Travel beyond towns requires registration and satellite communication, not to limit freedom, but to save lives. Every rule tells the same story here. Survival is never optional. Conversations without words. To understand Greenland, you must learn a language beyond speech. Silence here is not emptiness, but trust. Sitting together without talking, watching snowfall or the aurora dance, is a sign of closeness. Faces speak volumes. A raised eyebrow, a slight nose scrunch, or a pause replaces words, shaped by a land where speaking or removing gloves can be dangerous. Qaqortoq reflects this quiet understanding. An open door is invitation enough. Yeah, stories too live in pauses. The best storytellers know when not to speak. In Greenland, what is left unsaid often carries the greatest meaning. The future of Greenland. Greenland is no longer hidden. As ice retreats, minerals, energy, fish stocks, and strategic shipping routes draw global attention. Powerful nations watch closely, seeing opportunity where once there was only silence. The United States has even proposed buying Greenland. Most recently in August 2019 under President Donald Trump. Denmark and Greenland firmly rejected the idea, knowing the island's value cannot be measured in money. Yet much remains untouched. Northeast Greenland National Park, the largest on Earth, protects 386,000 square miles of wilderness where humans are only visitors. The challenge ahead is balance. Progress without loss, opportunity without erasure. The Qilakitsoq, who have survived here for thousands of years by working with nature, may hold the wisdom the future demands. Greenland lingers in the mind ice older than civilization. Icebergs drifting past colorful houses. Silence broken only by wind and dog sleds. It reminds us that nature can still rule, that simplicity can sustain life, and that mystery still exists. The question is not whether you will ever visit Greenland, but whether knowing it exists changes how you see the world, and reminds you that wonder is still alive for those willing to look. Greenland is not a place you simply visit and forget. From Nuuk's painted houses to the thunderous collapse of Russell Glacier, from the heart-shaped mountain to the silent isolation of Ittoqqortoormiit, this frozen realm carries one undeniable truth. Nature still holds the final word. The Qilakitsoq have survived here for thousands of years by listening to the land, not conquering it. As the ice melts and the world watches, Greenland stands at a crossroads. Will it be valued for what can be taken, or for what it teaches us about balance and resilience? Perhaps you will never set foot on this frozen island, but knowing it exists reminds us that wonder is not lost, and some places remain wild, untamed, and magnificent. If this journey inspired you, subscribe and hit the bell icon for more extraordinary explorations. Which part of Greenland fascinated you most? Share in the comments below. Until next time, keep exploring.